there are a number of possible futures ahead of us. It just depends on what happens today and what happens now, what happens tomorrow, and that'll affect what happens
Butterfly
the
effect.
day after. It is the
Yeah.
butterfly effect. It
Yeah.
is. And depending on how, I don't know how The Rock fits into all of that, but he certainly has a lot of power in his sphere. And I don't know if that,
Well, yeah, the power and fear. Is that what you said? Like,
sphere, but
Sphere.
the power is fear. But that's
in his
interesting.
sphere,
That's sort of. I feel it's like that's almost like a Freudian slip, because the duality
Maybe.
of power and fear is maybe the one of the defining sort of dualities of the next 25 to 50 years, right?
Well, in the human
Power
condition,
versus
right?
fear.
Well,
Yeah.
if you go back 20, 30 years. Go back 20, 30 years.
Mm.
You look at the duality back then and the spheres
Mhm.
of influence you have. I think, well, actually, I'm not sure if Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson fits into it. But that being said, in the future,
I actually think he fucking does. I actually think he, in an interesting way, think he does more than a lot of people do. And I mean, this is just maybe because I know him a little bit better than a lot of people do, and I've kind of been around him. If someone was going to put a gun to my head and say, what does the future look like? Where are we in 15 years? To me, it is pretty clear. It's that, I think Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson will run for president, and I think he will win. And I think he will restructure society in a new way that will completely disintegrate the two party system that we have, and will reorganize the government so there will be one. I wouldn't call it. It's hard because we get stuck with names. We get stuck with with terminology that's antiquated, that's expired. But it will be the closest thing you could call it is a benevolent monarchy, and a magnanimous kingdom. And because of what we already know is happening to evolution, specifically in Homo sapiens, in human beings, I believe that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson will transcend the human form as we know it and become I guess like a giant who walks the earth. So he will radically increase his body mass size to a point where he will be, basically the size of, King Kong or something like that, as you can as the best visual analogy I can think of, and will live on the big island in Hawaii. That will become the only place that he can survive because of the conditions there, and that's where he's from, obviously. But there, and he will rule not only America but the world, magnanimously, and we will follow him. We will do what he says, because of the whole duality of power versus fear.
Right. Well, that's yeah,
sure.
could be.
Sounds.
Guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Right.
We'd have to see.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like you said, there's no crystal ball. But
right.
Wish
But
there
yeah, I
was.
don't know.
I think it's very possible.
Right. Well, I don't know The Rock like you do, but it would be very it'd be very interesting to see how that all
Definitely.
How that all shakes out.
There's a lot of paths for sure, and I guess.
And there's no way to say that's not going. There's no way to say that that's definitely not going to happen. Like,
it's true.
You could say that,
it's there's people that will say that's not physically possible, that kind of growth in that amount of time, that kind of evolution, but all that stuff's getting completely torn up.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, we'll have to see what happens, I guess. It's interesting.